Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners, to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by Briar-Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And today is the last day for you to give Briar-Greaves Insurance a call with the number that I just mentioned and have them take a look through of your insurance, and you will be automatically entered into a raffle to win free tickets in the first level section for Bucs-Eagles on Sunday. The raffle will be going on tomorrow, so today's your last day. Give them a call, see how they can help you with your insurance, and you will be automatically entered to win free tickets over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. It is a Wednesday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, which means it's our preview day. And boy, do we have a fantastic matchup coming up this weekend. The undefeated 3-0 Bucs are hosting the undefeated 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Really, first place of the NFC conference is on the line. There's also undefeated 49ers, but they got some injuries to deal with. So this is going to be an absolute barn burner on Sunday's matchup. So we're going to preview it today. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at pewterreport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Scott, Bucs are trying to stay undefeated. Not going to be as easy with all of these injuries, but help could be on the way, too.
Yeah, we've kind of been thinking Tristan Wirfs this week and maybe Chris Godwin next week, but maybe not. Maybe both this week. That was some encouraging news we got out of one Buccaneer place today. And let's just kind of set the table. And sorry, we had like a little bit of a glitch earlier. I know some of you have been anxiously waiting since 1 o'clock for the podcast. Just a typo. We're here at 4 o'clock like we usually are. If we do have an earlier podcast, that'll be a separate emergency podcast. We did one yesterday that y'all came loud and proud for. Desmond Watson joining the practice squad. We'll get to Desmond Watson news in just a minute. But let's start with who may be up this week. We do know that Mike Evans is going to be out for a couple of weeks. We've seen kind of a wide array of reports, some saying it's the same injury as last year, where it cost them 3 games, probably would have cost them 4 because they had the bye week. But some have said maybe as few as 2 games, right? That would be great because you'd have Mike out the Eagles game and the Seahawks game. And we know this team does better with Mike Evans in the lineup rather than without. And he played a big role in the team beating the Philadelphia Eagles last year, 33-16 at Raymond James Stadium in week 4. And the Eagles coming down a day early this year to try to get used to the heat. The Bucs just announced they're not going to be in all white. I thought maybe they would try to capture some of their all white mojo like they had last week.
Yeah.
They're going to see if they can get a repeat performance. Week 4 last year, they won in the white and pewter. The white jerseys, the pewter pants, and that's what they're going to be wearing again on Sunday against the Eagles. White jerseys, pewter pants. So what you see from Mike there is what they will be wearing again. And maybe Chris Godwin will be making an appearance in a white jersey and pewter pants. Matt, it seemed like Todd Bowles, when he was asked questions about how Chris Godwin has actually looked running and cutting and doing wide receiver things in the field, what did he say?
He said that he was looking pretty good. They've given him more things to do, which certainly is a great sign. They said the biggest thing, Coach Bowles, I'm talking about, is that it's going to be about the healing process for Rod Christopher Godwin Jr. How does he kind of bounce back from practicing all day and then, recovering the next day? Because a lot of the times the Bucs have gone practice for Chris Godwin Jr., day off, practice for Chris Godwin Jr. Last week he was practiced most of the days, but it was a little bit lighter. So It seems like they're giving him more. He's responding to it well. And it sucks that it coincides with the injury of Mike Evans, but you don't want to put everything on the plate of Emeka Egbuka, and certainly not Chris Godwin Jr. as he's just coming back from this injury. But I think it's a legitimate shot that he ends up playing on Sunday in a game where they are really going to need him, despite the fact that he's missed so many months.
Yeah, for sure. And that's going to be interesting to see. It certainly sounds as if, and at least if you want to believe the Bucks depth chart, they readjusted their depth chart and they came out with some encouraging news about big old 78 Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
Will we see Tristan Wirfs debut on Sunday for the 2025 season? I think we will, Matt. I think he is going to play on Sunday. Again, probably going to be a game time decision for both Chris and Tristan. Saturday and Sunday, how they feel will be huge. Obviously, Saturday's a walkthrough. They're not practicing on Saturday, but we've seen an encouraging report about Emeka Buka come out on Saturday when he showed up to the team facility and said, yeah, I'm ready to go tomorrow, right? We reported that on Saturday. I think one of the national guys, Jeremy Fowler, might have broken that news on Saturday. And with Tristan Wirfs, it might be a similar type of situation. You know, Tristan's had some good games against the Eagles, right? Most notably that wild card playoff win back in 2023. Of course, we do know that the Eagles also hurt his ankle, and he was unable to play in that fateful Rams game, in that divisional playoff game here in Tampa that they lost. If they would have had Chris and Tristan against the Rams, they might have won. So Tristan has had some misfortune against the Eagles, but boy, this lineup would be so much better, Matt, if Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin were to play and help the Bucs out on Sunday.
It makes it much more of an even matchup for so many reasons, but also because if Tristan Wirfs is able to go, you plug him in at left tackle, it lets you reshape your offensive line to what we all thought it was going to be before the season began. So Graham Barton, who was doing a pretty stout job at left tackle, credit to him, he moves back to center. Ben Bredesen moves back to left guard after playing center. And you have Charlie Heck on the right side at right tackle. So really, all you're trying to figure out and replace is who is going to play at right guard for really the rest of the season, since Cody Mauch is going to be out, because Luke Edeke will eventually be back. And we saw him in the locker room today. He's still on that scooter, but he was flying around on that scooter. So, you know, I think he's a little bit bored trying to get ready and, get back once he's off of injured reserve. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, especially if Tristan Wirfs can play this week, where you're pretty much getting a regular offensive line, just two backups on the right side. And that's a good sign, because Baker Mayfield has been playing pretty well behind this makeshift offensive line to finally give it some stability. And to have Tristan Wirfs just allows you to open up so many more things in the playbook that maybe you wouldn't, even with Graham Barton there at left tackle and all the other moves that they've made along the offensive line. I mean, this doesn't just benefit Baker. It benefits Bucky and Rashad White and Emeka Buka. It helps everybody
all the way down the line
with the assistance and the help of Tristan Wirfs returning.
Yeah, so we feel better about Tristan Wirfs, and it's not really kind of a surprise, because remember, the team didn't put him on injured reserve.
Correct.
We're actually PUP. He would have qualified for PUP, and it's also worth reporting. It's good news with Mike Evans that he's not on injured reserve. That means that he can come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, and not have to miss 4 weeks worth of action. And so that was kind of the thinking with Tristan Wirfs. And even Chris Godwin. Let's give them a chance to see if one or both of those guys can make it to week 4, because if you're on PUP, it does two things. Number one, it takes you out of commission for the first 4 games. It's kind of like injured reserve, but because they had an injury in training camp, that would have been the designation rather than injured reserve. So they would have missed 4 games. More importantly, they would not have been able to practice with the team. And as we should point out, both Tristan and Chris have been practicing since the end of training camp, and that's been huge because they've been able to get on the field, get the rust shaken off as best they can, get back into football shape as best they can, and be in the huddle and hear those play calls from Baker Mayfield and play next to their teammates, rather than standing on the sidelines waiting to come off PUP and then join practice. So this was a great move by the Buccaneers, putting these guys in position to possibly play against the Eagles.
Absolutely, Scott. That's a fantastic point. You certainly want them to play on Sunday, but even if they don't, at least they've been practicing out there every single week. Like, if they were on injured reserve, we would be talking about this is the week where they open that 21-day window and they're just getting started and they're just getting acclimated. But that's not the case. They've been practicing for just a while. So I even think back to, we've talked about it on the show before, but I think back to when Chris Godwin tore his ACL and when he came back. And he came back so late. And crazy enough, like now they need Chris Godwin again, but they really needed Chris Godwin at the time back in Tom Brady's last season.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he ramped up too quick just by the nature of he wants to get back out there and play. The team needed him. Tom Brady's last season, all these different things.
Right.
This time around, first of all, the Bucs were able to survive without them. They're 3-0. They're undefeated and have been able to maneuver the roster and calling up people from the practice squad and stuff like that. This time around, they've really eased Chris Godwin back into it. They've eased Tristan Wirfs back into it. They're not rushing them by any means. And I think this is great for Tampa Bay. And now they're playing with house money, being 3-0. They want to win. We all hope they win. But they can afford to lose this game because they are 3-0. It's not like they were 1-2 going into this game. You don't want to go 1-3.
They're not desperate. 3-0. Right. Yeah.
They're not desperate. They still want to win. They're going to go out and try to win. But I'm saying all is not lost if they do lose this game. And I'm not saying that they will. Of course, as we talked about, the next couple of games, they probably need to split it. But knowing that you're going to go into those games with a fully ready to go Tristan Wirfs and same with Chris Godwin Jr., it's got to ease the mind a little bit.
There's no doubt about it. Matt, you and I were talking about this, the point that Don Hayes talks about, put Chris in as a decoy. Well, here's the thing, right? You're already down Mike Evans as a wide receiver. You can bring up another practice squad receiver, right? You already have available to you. You got Emeka Egbuka in this game. You're going to have, obviously, Sterling Shepard. Those would be the two starters, right? And then you've got Tez Johnson. You've got Ryan Miller. Those are the four receivers that you have. If you want to bring somebody up from the practice squad, you could do that. But if Chris Godwin is able to play, even on a pitch count, he might help you out there for 20, 25 plays and maybe more. We'll see. It's going to be a hot day. But if he's quote unquote wide receiver 5 and you would put him out there with the starters to essentially be part of that starting trio, you can number them on your depth chart at home however you want. But if he's out there with Sterling Shepard and Emeka Egbuka, you got to respect him. He's Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah.
Even though he may not be the Chris Godwin of this time last year, he's going to take some time to get into shape. But he is a decoy. He is a threat that you have to respect. You know, and then he'll come off the field, and then you put Ryan Miller on, or you put Tez Johnson on, whatever. But my point is we remember there was a game, and folks, I've been doing this 30 years. They all kind of run together a little bit. But there was a game Matt and I were talking about where it was early in the season. Mike Evans kind of had one of those training camp preseason hamstring issues. And it was like week 1 or week 2 against the Saints. And it might have been 2020, you know, when Brady got to town or around there, Dirk Cutter years, Bruce Arians years. But Mike had like 1 or 2 catches for 2 or 3 yards and a touchdown against the Saints. And he pretty much was a decoy in that game, right? And maybe there was a game where he didn't even have a catch, but I remember him being out there and he kind of played through, this is younger Mike Evans, but he played through a hamstring injury. And, you know, he was just out there like as Mike, and you have to respect him. And Marshawn Lattimore, I'm sure, covered him like a blanket that game. But I want to say he had a touchdown, like a 1-yard touchdown around the goal line or something. Maybe you Bucs fans remember that game. But if Chris Godwin can at least be one of those guys, I'd almost rather have him as wide receiver 5 out there with his reputation, even if he doesn't do a damn thing in that game other than run some routes and help get other guys open, than maybe Dennis Houston coming up in the practice squad, right? Or someone like that.
I think it's a really good idea because if you go into this game without Chris, you need the Eagles to have someone else that they have to think about and pay attention to. And no disrespect to Sterling Shepard because he's been great for the Bucs at the beginning of the season. But the Eagles aren't going, well, we got to stop Sterling Shepard. Because right now, the secret's out on Emeka Egbuka. The secret is out. He is, you know, top runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been great at wide receiver.
Yeah, he's public enemy number 1 in the passing game on Sunday if you're the Eagles.
With Mike Evans out, absolutely. So with the insertion of Chris Godwin and the Eagles not knowing exactly how much they're going to use him, the Eagles have to game plan for Chris Godwin because we've seen what he's done to the Eagles as well, most notably that playoff game a couple of seasons ago when Godwin scored a touchdown. You need to free up Emeka Egbuka one way or another, or I would love to see, too, if Josh Grizzard, if this is the first week, we truly see something that we haven't noticed yet with Josh Grizzard. And we saw it maybe at the end of last week on Sunday when the Bucs were on their final drive, they tried to go deep to Tez Johnson.
That's
It was
right.
actually an
Yeah.
overthrow. It was an
Wide open.
overthrow, by Baker Mayfield on it. I think you could also use Chris Godwin in that type of situation of, okay, there's attention to Ibuka, there's attention to Chris Godwin. Oh, there's Tez Johnson down the field. Now, of course, Sterling Shepard can play that role too, but they will work in some of the other guys as well. And like Ryan Miller was in last week as more of a blocking wide receiver.
Right.
But I think Josh Grizzard is smart enough to know too, you're not just going to have him in there to block, because that is a tell and teams pick up on that. So I'm curious how creative they'll get with the receivers in terms of what Chris Godwin can do, what he can't do, how do you keep him healthy. So if he wants to be a decoy, that's totally fine. It's just, what do you do? How do you get the most out of his decoy style of play to get everyone else involved?
No, I'm totally with you. I think there's certainly some merit to that. We're going to talk more about this because this is an interesting topic that we really kind of were a little dismissive, like, probably next week, maybe the 49ers game for sure for Chris. But the way that Todd Bowles, maybe it's some gamesmanship, we'll find out. But the way Todd Bowles was talking about, he looks great. He said the ankle looks fine. The issue is going to be when it gets muddy, right? When he gets rolled up on, when he gets blocked, how is that ankle going to respond to when he gets tackled to the ground, right? That's going to be the thing. But that's going to be our topic for tomorrow, folks. Will Chris Godwin play versus the Eagles? He'll have another day's worth of practice tomorrow, and we'll get kind of more of an injury update situation from the Buccaneers about his level of participation. We'll ask Josh Grizzard tomorrow, right? We're going to see Josh Grizzard, the offensive coordinator. We'll get his thoughts on how he's looked in practice. So that's going to be the topic for tomorrow. We're going to have a Pewter Insider on Friday. Matt and I are kind of working on that topic right now. But what we can tell you with 100% confidence, whether Chris Godwin, whether Tristan Wirfs end up playing or not, Matt and I will be doing Pewter Pregame at 9 a.m. on September 28th. That is this Sunday, folks, at 9 o'clock. So as you're getting ready to head to the stadium, or maybe you're driving to the stadium, or maybe you're at the stadium, they're not going to let you in that early. But maybe you're getting ready to pull in, right, and get that tailgate going. Put on Pewter Pregame. It's our pregame show, 45 minutes to an hour, right here on Pewter Report TV. Also streams live on X and Facebook. It's the pregame show, folks. We're going to have the most current, freshest, up-to-date injury reports for you. I work my sources on the phone, and usually around 9 or 9:30, I have answers for you people. So if you want to find out who's playing, make sure you dial into Pewter Pregame. It's 9 o'clock every single game day. So when that Monday night game rolls around against the Lions in a couple weeks, that's going to be on Monday. When that Thursday night game later in this year against the Falcons takes place in week 15, it'll be on Thursday. But every other Sunday that there's a Bucs game, we go live at Pewter Pregame, 9 a.m. right here on Pewter Report TV. Make sure that you hit notifications, and you'll be reminded about that. Make sure you hit subscribe on Pewter Report TV. We're on our way to 22,000. And then, of course, the return of Matt Matera at 1 o'clock for Pewter Game Day. Nobody calls the game better. With apologies to Gene Deckerhoff. He does a great job for radio. But when it's on video, folks, it's Matt Matera and Daniel Morales. Can't wait to hear your calls for this, because I tell you, we had to warn you in the press box, Matt. When there's a fantastic finish, you can't go crazy, man. Not like you can on Pewter Game Day with some of those sensational, memorable calls as we have seen for a lot of these particular games. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff for your Bucs. Make sure you're right here at Pewter Report TV for Pewter Game Day.
Yeah, credit to the Bucs for having these chaotic games. I mean, they're just giving me softballs with with these play-by-play calls. And I was joking when we were in the press box, and it was so much fun being at the game too. I like kind of doing a little bit of everything with at the game and during this Pewter Game Day as well. But I was practicing while in the press box. I was going,
I know,
touchdown, Tampa Bay, right. Mike Evans. Chase McLaughlin's kick is good. Bucs win. Right. But now that I'm on the game day, it's touchdown, Tampa Bay. Bucs take the lead over the Eagles. Things like that. But it's going to be super fun. It's been great doing the show with Daniel. We keep it very, very interactive with everybody as well. So we get the super chats during the game. We get the comments as well. We love to see everyone's thoughts after every drive. We get it. People freak out in the beginning. People freak out in the end. We let the drama ensue. We let the game ensue. And it's a lot of fun. So definitely recommend it. Anyone that's not going to the game to, come and join us because it's going to be a great time.
Matt, you mentioned super chats, and we already have some lined up. Let's get to some of those today.
Yes, let's start off these super chats, beginning with LDBC's Most Wanted. Thank you for this $4.99. Says, say what you want about Bulls, but he has rebuilt our secondary. Tyke looks great at safety.
Yeah.
Parrish and Benjamin look great. Secondary for next decade. Scott, I think it's incredible. The Bucs went from their secondary, and particularly the corners, being the weakest part of their team, arguably, last season, to, in my opinion, especially now with like an injury to Kalijah Cansey on the defensive line, they're the strength of this defense right now. I mean, right. Jamel Dean has a pick 6. Jacob Parrish is in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Benjamin Morrison getting his feet wet, had a great tackle for loss. Zion gets the big extension. Tyke Smith has been sensational this season for the Bucs, and then Antoine Winfield Jr. doing Antoine Winfield Jr. things with the big play against Atlanta in Week 1 and the strip sack on Sunday, getting the Bucs' first turnover of the season. I could not be happier with this secondary than I am right now. They've just been playing so well, not allowing big plays down the field. It's been great with the secondary.
It really has. And I tell you, I'm going to give an assist to Jason Light and Mike Greenberg too. Sometimes you got to put people on notice, right? And they put Jamel Dean on notice, right? They drafted a cornerback to essentially replace him, and Benjamin Morrison in the second round. Mm-hmm. They went to Jamel and said, hey, listen, man, the $13 million a year, you have not really earned that money. I know injuries are not your fault, but you've missed some time. You've missed some key moments. And you drop interceptions. And it has lit a fire under Jamel Dean. And to his credit, he's playing the best football of his career so far. It's only a small sample size, only 3 games so far. But he's been locked down. He has that pick 6, which was huge.
Yeah.
To me, I'm really proud of Jamel Dean. He's a great guy. He doesn't want to be injured. He doesn't want to drop interceptions. He means well, right? He's a good locker room guy. We like Jamel.
He's one of the most chill dudes in the locker room.
He is. Always in a good mood, always smiling. He's a great teammate. It just, at the same time, you got to play. This is a performance industry, and you got to
pay a lot of money.
Yeah, you got to perform. But, it goes back to what you and I talked about on some of our off-season Pewter Report podcasts. When Jamel Dean was at his best was when he was hungry, when he didn't have that second contract kick in, and when he was fighting for a starting job with Sean Murphy-Bunting. When he had the job handed to him, it seemed, with that big payday, sometimes people they relax. They take the foot off the gas. And I think that's what happened with Jamel a little bit. Now we're seeing a hungry Jamel headed towards free agency. He's got Benjamin Morrison, nipping at his heels, and he's risen to the occasion. And like we talked about when they drafted Benjamin Morrison, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to push Jamel Dean towards greatness or push him to the bench. And so far, it's been the former. And you know what? When you have Benjamin Morrison coming in off the bench and getting a couple meaningful snaps without the pressure of having to go out there and start as a rookie and get picked on for an entire game, it's a win-win for Jamel Dean and for Benjamin Morrison right now.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think for Morrison, there's always so much adrenaline starting at the beginning of the games. Just regardless, there's so much fun, anticipation. Morrison can get a feel for the game a little bit more and then get in and know that not everything's going to be on him. And then for Jamel Dean, you mentioned the injury history. As great as he's been, if you take away 15 snaps, those are 15 snaps that he might get injured on just based on his injury history. So I think I'm a big fan of this rotation that Tampa Bay has going on right now. Zion,
it's about an 80-20 split, right, between those two guys. Yeah,
exactly. And is getting Benjamin Morrison some really important experience. He's impacting the team in a positive way with that big tackle for loss. And then Dean is playing some of his best football he's ever had in his career. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stay with this recipe.
Right.
And you know what? It's going to be damn hard against Devontae Smith and their number 1 receiver, A.J. Brown, the Eagles I'm talking about. So, throw everything at them for sure.
Yep.
Bucs fan since Leroy63, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, if the Bucs force Jalen Hurts to try to beat him with his arm, they win this game.
Yep. Todd Bowles has done a really good job against Jalen Hurts in the 5 games that they have played. Hurts as a quarterback, and this includes the playoff game, the wild card game, when it was Jalen Hurts in his younger years versus Tom Brady head-to-head in the 2021 postseason. Of course, that was the game where, unfortunately, Tristan Wirfs got hurt. But they demolished the Eagles that day, and Hurts has only won 1 game, that Monday night game against Tampa Bay in the 2023 season. But then again, in 2023 in the playoffs, they lost in huge fashion. 32-9, I want to say, in that game.
Yes.
So
yes,
Jalen Hurts 1-4 as a starter against Todd Bowles. He has completed 59% of his passes for 1,058 yards. That's an average of 211 yards per game. That's not Herculean by any means. He's got 5 touchdowns passing, 5 interceptions, 36 carries for 148 yards. That's a 4.1 yard average. That's not a killer stat. He does have 4 rushing touchdowns because he's a very good red zone runner, right? You have to respect the legs down there by the red zone. They will call some quarterback draws, et cetera. But he also has been sacked for a safety. Anthony Nelson got him for a safety there. So this is a situation, too, where we've seen Tyke Smith come on a blitz. We have seen Antoine Winfield Jr. come on a blitz. Those guys have sacks from the safety position. We saw Jacob Parrish get a sack, his first sack in the league on Sunday as well. So there's a lot of fast defensive backs that they can send at him, in addition to Servassier Dennis, who's already broken up 2 passes on blitzes, one against Penix, one against Tyrod Taylor last week, and Levante David, who leads this team in sacks with a sack and a half. So whether it's spying Jalen Hurts or just pressuring the crap out of him, I think we're going to see Todd Bowles really go to town, especially with how well his corners are playing behind the blitz.
I think that's the blueprint for Tampa Bay in this game. And I find Jalen Hurts a very fascinating quarterback. I'm a fan of him overall because he's not your typical quarterback, and people tend to freak out about it and not put him in top 5 quarterback conversation or top 10 quarterback conversation. I see some similarities, not from a skill set standpoint, but between Baker and Jalen Hurts. They both get the job done most of the time in crunch time. Jalen Hurts, when it's a big game, like those Super Bowls, I know he lost the first one,
right?
But Jalen Hurts plays his best in the biggest games. And I think that's certainly something you can tip your cap to. And then you look at Jalen Hurts in this last game against the Rams, which was a great game. The Rams were smoking the Eagles in the first half.
Yeah.
That was the first time Jalen Hurts has really had to throw the football. I mean, now the Eagles are undefeated, so they're not going to complain about that. And they're the defending champs. But offensively, they have really only been on and about running the football with Jalen Hurts and, of course, with Saquon Barkley. Total yardage-wise on offense, they're bottom 5 in the league, bottom 10.
Right.
Same with passing yards. The only thing that they're in the top 15 in is rushing yards. And again, that's a combination of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. So Jalen Hurts didn't really have to start airing it out with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith until that second half of the game against the Rams.
Yeah.
And once it got closer, Jalen Hurts played better and better. So I think it's important for the Bucs not just to build a lead, but don't even allow the Eagles to get back into it. Because as we've seen, when they do build these leads against the Eagles, you kind of get taken out of the game if you're Jalen Hurts, mentally. And the more you keep them at bay, the less that he kind of gets his super strength of playing close and better in close games. Now, Baker Mayfield has that same super strength as well, but you want to force Jalen Hurts to throw it because especially, and granted it was the first game of the season, but that first game against the Cowboys, who don't have a good defense either, Jalen Hurts was heavily relying on running on his own on third downs, where he would look at his first read, A.J. Brown's not open, I'm going to tuck it and run.
That's
I think if the Bucs are able to play that tight coverage, blitz off the side, he's going to go, okay, I'm going to my first read. I'm about to run. And then, no, you can't because Winfield's in the backfield or Tyke Smith is in the backfield. So I think that's definitely the best way to stop Jalen Hurts. Keep him in that pocket. He can throw it pretty well, but not in a regular season game the way that he does on the big stage in the Super Bowl.
You mentioned A.J. Brown. Let's just pause here real quick, too. This is kind of a deciding factor here, too, because A.J. Brown has not played in the last two games. That playoff win over the Eagles, there was a blowout at the wild card game. And then last year's blowout, 33-16 in week 4. A.J. Brown wasn't in either one of those games. And he is the big play guy. Todd Bowles talked about him today, saying, hey, he's a guy that when he's completely covered, you still throw him the ball because he's a big physical receiver with great hands. He can get downfield. He's fast. He is a big-time weapon. And Devontae Smith, good player. He really is. But I don't know that he's a better number 2, I think, to A.J. Brown being number 1 than he is just playing by himself without Brown. I think you put those two guys together, that's double trouble. But having A.J. Brown this time around in Tampa is going to be a difference maker because he hasn't played the last 2 games in Tampa, and it's shown because the score has been very lopsided in the Bucs' favor.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, A.J. Brown can get it done on his own, and Devontae Smith can to a degree, but he needs A.J. Brown more than A.J. Brown needs him. Yes. It's kind of like, and, you know, he's not that healthy right now, but we've seen Chris Godwin be able to get it done even if, like, Mike Evans isn't available when he's fully healthy. I don't know if Devontae Smith can necessarily do that either. It's not really a point for this game, but if we're talking about best number 2 wide receivers, you know, Chris Godwin's got to be in that conversation. But it's definitely something to look at for sure. Let's moving on to Drillman32. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, I will forever beef with Grizz. 20 touches for Bucky, 10 to 15 for White. No compromise.
Hey, Matt, you and I were looking at each other.
We were Bailey
in the press box, and we're like, hey, man, our prop bet here is not doing too well. The Rachaad White prop bet that seemed like a slam dunk to me and you. We didn't hit on that, did we?
We did not. And prop bet aside, it was a little surprising to me. Again, when you look at what Rachaad White did in Monday night's game against the Texans, getting on that roll in the second half, and he scored the game-winning touchdown. It was very surprising to me that he had 3% less of the snaps than he did on Monday, and Bucky had 3% more, considering you're playing in Tampa, the heat got 120 degrees on the field at some point. That seems like more of the case to, you know, share the wealth at running back. But Josh Grizzard didn't want to do that and ended up with the Bucs winning the game. Now, Todd Bowles said today it was a little bit about more of the context of the game, but I'm thinking context of the game, the Bucs were winning like 23-6 in the fourth quarter. And even at the end, like Rachaad White's a great pass blocking running back as well.
Yeah, I think going back and looking and like Joe, the Jets reporter that you had on, you know, and there's a couple of other Jets websites there, or I should say X accounts I was looking at where they were reaming the Jets out because they were overly aggressively pursuing towards the football and they were being subjected to cutbacks. And that was the game plan, I think, to get Bucky Irving some of those cutback opportunities because Aaron Glenn has got the Jets flying to the football right now. But sometimes if you don't take the right angle, you leave yourself open to cutbacks. And we saw a couple of really good cutback runs from Bucky Irving in that game. But then the Jets bottled him up a little bit too. Like he didn't have a huge game on the ground. He didn't rush for 4 yards per carry because the Jets flowed to the ball really well. So maybe that was part of it is that Rachaad he doesn't have that make you miss quality. He's not that cutback runner that Bucky Irving was. So maybe that's what Josh Grizzard was leaning on a little bit more, hoping Bucky would have a couple more opportunities to hit some cutbacks.
Totally makes sense. And Rachaad had the yards, but there was a holding penalty on the Bucs offensive line at one point. So that hurt as well. Flash Gordon with a comment says, I'd leave Bredesen at center and put Barton at left guard next to Wirfs.
You know, I'm open to that. I have heard from the powers that be that Graham Barton was drafted to be a center, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm with you. I would not be opposed to seeing Graham Barton play guard and Ben Bredesen play center. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I know. Bredesen's been so good at center. And not that Graham Barton hasn't, but Graham Barton talks so much about like everything going on in his head. It's like I almost kind of feel if Graham Barton only had to worry about not
Yeah.
snapping and just playing at guard, that he'd
Yep.
be even better. But
Just be a
it's the coach,
Neanderthal
so
guard and get out there,
yeah,
block the guy in front of you without having to do all the line calls and all that. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Mark Fisher, thank you for this $4.99 super
Oh,
chat.
and
Says,
real quick, and just for that point. Oh, by the way, if you're going back to center this week, you only have Jalen Carter and Jordan
"You're
Davis
right,
to contend with.
yeah, yeah." There's
Go
your
ahead.
consolation prize.
Right,
Congrats,
right.
Mark Fisher. Thanks for the $4.99. Says keys to the game: wide receiver Shepard, continued good play. 2, involve the tight ends. Culp ? And 3, slow down the run. Outside contain. Baker chaos run. What say you?
Well, the interesting thing about the tight ends, and we asked not just Todd Bowles, but Baker Mayfield about the loss of Cokeeft, and he doesn't play a lot on offense, but he is a tone setter. That was the word that both Bowles and Baker talked about. He's a tone setter out there. He's an enforcer. What did Todd Bowles call him? One of the 3 toughest guys in the team, and he
Yeah,
brings some of that tenacity. He is also a core key special teams player as well. So, he's kind of an afterthought to the media and the fans, because if he's in there, it's kind of like like he's a designated blocker.
Yeah.
And he just plays special teams, but he does those things very well. He's carved out a little niche role for himself on this team. And he's also kept Devin Culp inactive, for the start of the season. So now Culp will be active. It will change some things. The reason why Cade Otton has not been as involved as maybe you would like to see him in the passing game, if you have him on your fantasy team, or you're looking for a Cade Otton prop bet, maybe that changes, but it's probably not going to change until Tristan Wirfs comes into action, because they've had to play the last couple of games without their starting tackles.
yeah.
And so Cade Otton has been called on to be more pass protector, more chip blocker to help those tackles out than he has been a receiver helping out from the passing perspective. That might change, though, this week. Without Mike Evans, we saw him take a bigger step in those games that they lost. But when they didn't have Mike and Chris, Cade Otton was called upon, and I think if they get Tristan Wirfs back, you're going to see Cade Otton get more action in the passing game than he has otherwise.
And that's what Baker Mayfield brought up today. He said the production of Cade Otton kind of depends on whether or not Tristan Wirfs plays. Because if Tristan does play, as you mentioned, Scott, Cade Otton's going to be there to help out the the other offensive tackle that's in the game. And that's just kind of the nature of it. I am curious now, though, if Devin Culp does end up playing because Cokeeft isn't available anymore.
Yeah.
Does Devin Culp become that other receiving option for the Bucs? Because he's certainly a better receiver than Payne Durham.
Right.
It would have to depend on the certain formation itself. And then also, and I don't think they'd break it out for this game. And I'm very sorry that Cokeeft is out for the year. I don't want that to happen. But when you're in a goal line situation, Cokeeft is lining up at fullback.
Right.
Kind of opens the door. Kind of opens the door for Vita Vea.
Vita Vea, yeah.
If they want to do that. So it's just another thing to think about.
Can you imagine the collision between Vita Vea and Jordan Davis in the hole?
That's what I wanted, Vita Vea and Aaron Donald back in the day. That would have been the coolest of collisions.
Yeah.
But that's a big one as well. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, speaking of the Eagles and their defense, Nolan Smith is out for the Eagles. He's on injured reserve. So that's one less defensive player the Bucs offense will have to contend with. And, they don't have Josh Sweat. He went to Arizona in free agency. They haven't gotten a ton of pressure from their outside guys.
Yeah.
Zach Bond is still a very dangerous blitzer. He can cause some havoc there. Jihad Campbell is a player that
talked a lot about during the draft process.
Yeah, for sure. He's got 10 tackles. He's forced a fumble. I haven't done a film study to know if he's a dangerous blitzer or not yet. He doesn't have a sack. But Jalix Hunt was a player that they're kind of expecting to take a step up for Josh Sweat. He's 6'3", 252 pounds, out of Houston Christian, a smaller school, 3rd-round pick from the 24 draft. He had a sack in the Super Bowl, and they're trying to have him be that speed rusher off the edge. And without Nolan Smith and his speed, they're going to be expecting a lot more out of him. So, we'll see if the Eagles' pass rush is going to be maybe as dangerous or not without Nolan Smith. It's going to be dangerous up front, up the middle.
Yeah.
Because Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they can absolutely collapse the pocket. And if you saw Jordan Davis, hit 18 miles an hour as a big man with that blocked field goal. He blocked 2 against the Rams and take it to the house. He's 25 pounds lighter, still a big dude, probably still around 340 pounds. But he's hell on wheels, man. And so is Jalen Carter, who went to nearby Apopka High School. This will be another homecoming game for him. So good luck, Ramparton. Your return to center.
One of the first things I thought of when looking at the Eagles' defensive line and their pass rush is, some of the magic that Baker's been able to create, whether it was the 4th and 10 against the Texans or the big run he had last game when he threw in the pump fake as well. He's stepping up and then going out.
Right.
I don't know if Baker's going to be able to step up against these 2 defensive tackles. So
I know.
We've talked before about maybe some more bootlegs and stuff like that for Baker.
Yeah.
This might be the game where you implement that a little bit more, because I feel less concerned, and maybe some of this is Tristan Wirfs is on the horizon, but I feel less concerned about the outside pass rush with the Eagles than I did last week with the Jets, up until Jermaine Johnson not being available, and even the Falcons with the youth that they have. So I know the Bucs have attacked up the middle a lot, like whether it's in the running game or Baker stepping up, but I think this might be the week where you kind of round the outside, if you will. Again, Tristan changes all of this if he's in it, but time to go outside.
I'll say this. The Bucs are 1-0 at Raymond James Stadium, hopefully trying to get the 2-0. You know who else is undefeated at Raymond James Stadium? The USF Bulls. Is it us, Matt? Is it the fact that the Bulls are partnered with Pewter Report this year? Is that why they're off to a good start? Maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe. I will say this. Nico Grammatica, the son of Martin Automatica Grammatica. That's him right there, number 7. He kicked the game winner against the Florida Gators up there in the swamp. Hell of a good kicker. Big-time leg, just like his old man. Well, you can see Nico and the Bulls in their next home game against Charlotte, the Charlotte 49ers, on October 3rd at 7 p.m., Raymond James Stadium. Scan that QR code to get some tickets. They're a fun team to watch, man. They only dropped 63. They dropped a 60 burger against South Carolina State in their last home game. So it's not crazy to think that maybe this Bulls team goes undefeated down the rest of the stretch. And if that's the case, they'll be a playoff team. How about that? USF Bulls in the playoffs. I know Alex Golish is taking it one game at a time, but we as fans, we can look ahead. It should be a great game. Go to see the Bulls play at 7 p.m. It's a night game. Won't be scorching hot October 3rd against the Charlotte 49ers. Scan that barcode right there and get your Bulls tickets.
It's been fun seeing the buzz and the hype about USF. Unfortunately, they lost to Miami, but like the whole town was talking about USF. So, hopefully the playoffs are still on the horizon.
More fun for Josh Capo because our own Josh Capo is a USF Bull. So how about that?
He is.
Much to the chagrin of Bailey Adams, who is a UCF Knight. Of course, they're still rivals. I-4 war is no longer a thing, but they're still rivals. You should see our group chat between those two.
Yes.
And
it's nasty.
And we'll see how UCF fares against my awful Kansas State Wildcats on Saturday. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
He's 0813. Thanks for this $10 super chat. Says, would rather the Bucs get this win the most of all the game so far. To be 3-0 and get a win against the team who's favored to get the number 1 seed will be massive by end of the season, possibly extra bye week. And we all know the Bucs could use as many bye weeks as possible, given all the injuries that this team had. And I also think this is big for the Bucs because I've seen this come up a little bit, that the combined record of the teams that the Bucs have played so far are 1-8. The only team that's won a game is the Falcons when they beat the Vikings in week 2. And I don't think that's totally fair. It's so early in the season, but it is something that could be drummed up a little bit more if the Bucs don't win this game or if it's not even really that close. But this game has a ton on the line. And as Hizo says, getting that number 1 seed is very, very important. That hasn't been done with the Bucs, not with this current regime or anything like that. As great as this team has been winning a Super Bowl, they haven't had that number 1 seed. So I think this is a huge game.
I'm with you. Totally agree.
But I want to give a shout out real quick to Keita Villain, who says, "Crazy, they're playing on my birthday. I'd love for them to get a win for real." So happy birthday to you coming up on Sunday, and hopefully the birthday gift for you is the
That
Bucs
would be awesome.
beating the Eagles. Tyler Lavelle, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, "What's your over/under bet at 43.5?" I've been thinking about this, and I'd love to have more of the information on if Tristan Wirfs is playing or if Chris Godwin is playing. Because if Wirfs is playing, my initial thought, if there's no Wirfs or Godwin, I think you have to take the under, just based on the Eagles' defensive line and who the Bucs are going to have on the offensive line and not having Mike Evans. Right. If Wirfs and Godwin play, I'm a little more inclined to take the over because I do think the Eagles will be able to score, not an insane amount, but score against the Bucs, and the Bucs know how to keep pace in games. So, man, I'm gonna say the over. By the way, I'm 6-0 in the spread with the Bucs and the over/under combined.
There you go.
So the Bucs went under the first 2 games. They went over against the Jets on Sunday. So I'm gonna tentatively say the over because I want to give you an answer. But I'll feel more confident by the end of the week when we have answers about the other guys.
Yep.
Jordy Peterson, thanks for the $9.99 super chat. Says, hopefully we don't turn into last year's Lions. Lots of injuries, but winning a lot in the regular season. Come playoff time, the injuries catch up to the team. Need to start and stay healthy now.
Yeah. I mean, that's well said. Injuries, you can't control them. I mean, I go back to if they had Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin available for that Rams game, they would have had 3 Super Bowls by now. They would have been Super Bowl repeat champions. They just would have. Not having Tristan Wirfs out there against the Rams, not having Chris Godwin out there, that's just how it was. They didn't have enough healthy stars in those late playoff games when everybody's good, right? There's no chump team.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't meant to be. The common denominator between the 2020 and the 2002 Super Bowls, 2 of the healthiest Buccaneer teams of all time. Not just talented, but healthiest of all time.
Very true. Eric Moreno, thanks for the $5 super chat, says, I heard Jeremy Fowler said Evans is out 2 to 3 weeks. Evans is trying to beat the timeline anyway. Evans only misses 1 game, but probably 2.
I hope so. I mean, to me,
that's the hope. Yeah, that's the goal.
If he can come back for the 49ers game, he's welcome to. I mean, that's fine. It's going to be another big game in the NFC, and this team can't stand the 49ers. They just seem to have the Bucs number, and the Bucs would love to finally get a win over San Francisco.
49ers are another banged-up team, too. They're right up there with the Bucs in terms of undefeated.
Yeah, they just lost Nick Bosa, right?
They did for the whole season. Bucs fan since Leroy 63. Thanks for this $5 super chat. Says the thing is, in order to force Hurts into throwing, you need to shut down the run.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Saquon Barkley is good. He's really good.
Yeah.
He did have that one breakout run last year, I think in the 3rd quarter, like a 50-yard run.
Yeah.
But he's Todd Bowles has done a pretty good job against him, and this is a really good run defense this year. And all 3 games, they've done really well against the run. Held opponents under 100 yards. Last week it was 99. But it's not like he has had a tremendous start to this season. He's averaging, I think, 3.4 yards per carry. Last year was like 5.8. So he's off to a much slower start. Honestly, where I'm more concerned about Saquon Barkley is in the screen game.
Yes.
Against the Bucs linebackers, because Levante David in coverage has not been great. And I could certainly say the same thing about Sebastian Dennis. So if I am the Eagles, I am trying to do whatever I can to get him out on the flank and screens, flare passes, wheel routes down the sidelines, trying to get one-on-one versus Sebastian Dennis or one-on-one versus Levante David. Neither one of those guys has the foot speed to keep up with Saquon Barkley. So to me, I'm not as concerned about stopping the running version of Saquon Barkley. It's the receiving threat that really has me concerned.
Could not agree with you more. I don't know why the Jets didn't try to get Breece Hall more involved in the passing game. They didn't even throw any screens to him. And Braylon Allen, the backup running back, was the guy that was kind of helping the Jets move the ball down the field late in that game against the Bucs. So the Eagles should absolutely go to Saquon in the passing game. They will not be intimidated by him in the running game. I mean, they shut down John Robinson, again, running the football, receiving. And they won't be intimidated by any running back in this league. And the Bucs are looking like the early Todd Bowles Bucs when nobody even thought about running the football against them. They're kind of getting back to that point, which is great to see. Drillman 32, thanks for this $5 super chat, says Bucky and White are interchangeable. White's style has changed to more downhill. Bucky should be slamming 25 carries, majority interior runs. Shaking my head.
Yeah, it just depends on the game plan, and it's going to be hard to run in between the tackles this week. I mean, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are no joke. I mean, that's now that Kalijah Cansey's out. I mean, it was probably arguable anyways, but I mean, that's the best defensive tackle tandem in the league right now is Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and I think Jordan Davis is playing his best football right now too.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not, Hampter? I know special teams, but still.
Yeah.
I will say I disagree a little bit. I appreciate the super chat. I disagree with saying Bucky and Rachaad White are interchangeable. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Matt. Yeah.
Game a little bit, but Bucky and Rachaad are still kind of different running backs, and Bucky way more has the break tackle ability. I'd still take Rachaad White if it's third down and you need someone to stay in the pocket and pass block, but I would disagree with that part a little bit, but they're both very important. Christopher Cole, thanks for the $1.99 super chat, says 3 tight end sets.
I don't know. This is the game to get in the offensive line slugfest with the Eagles defensive line. If you had Luke Gedeke and Cody Mauch too, sure, why not? But this to me, I'd almost rather spread the Eagles out and try to do some draws and and try to gash them a little bit rather than just tighten up the box and just pound away. Maybe on the left side, you do that with Tristan and Ben Bredesen and Graham Barton. I wouldn't try that on the right side, whether it's Dan Feeney or Elijah Klein starting at right guard next to Charlie Heck. That's not the recipe for success, I don't think, this week.
Too high to die with a comment says, yo, shout out Todd Bowles. I don't see this man getting enough credit. First 3-0 start in 20 years. Defense looking good. Seems to be a mastermind of finding OCs. Give this man credit, Tampa.
Absolutely. Matt, you and I talked about it in the offseason. We loved everything Todd Bowles did and everything Todd Bowles said. It was a perfect offseason. Everything he did, from changing up the coaching staff to bringing in Zach Beislein to help with game day management, to wanting ball hawks, to drafting 2 defensive backs on day 2. Everything that he has done has been the right move. And he deserves all of his flowers, all of the credit, the 3-0 start, everything. It's going according to script. It really is, because we kind of saw this, and if you haven't watched our Pewter Report post game, if you just tune in for the season, it's great. We're happy to have you. We cover this team year round. We're at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. We're at the Combine in Indianapolis. We're at the NFL annual meeting talking to Todd Bowles. We cover the draft and free agency, and we kind of saw this coming. At least the table was set, right?
Yeah.
With all of the things that have happened, these wheels have been in motion for a long time, and it's going according to script right now.
Absolutely is. Nathan Elliott, very kind, says, Pewter Report, you are all invited to our Lot 12 tailgate party. Gates open at 9:30. No charge. Free food. Fun.
And he's inviting all the Pewter people. So there you go, Nathan. We might see you. It's a little bit of a race up there, or down there for me from Wesley Chapel, because at 10 o'clock, that's when the show ends, and I gotta get ready and head up to the stadium. So if I can make it out there, I will. If not, I will certainly be out there for like a later kickoff. But thanks for the invite.
Yeah, appreciate the invite. Bucks Basement, thanks for the $5 super chat, says, to be honest, this is a house money game. The best thing for this team was the 3-0 start. Next 4 games are tough. Just don't go 0-4. Kill the 4-game losing streak.
Yeah. Again, they're all important. You only have 17 of them, but these next couple games, the Seattle Seahawks is going to be big. They're a good team this year. The 49ers. I mean, this is the stretch right here. This is the meat of the schedule. And you can't go 0 for 4 down
No.
the stretch here like you have the last 2 years. You gotta get at least a 1, 2, or 3 wins out of this next stretch here. I think the Saints are going to be easier, but we'll see.
And then we have got to get to this one. Meets McGee, thanks for the $2 super chat. Says I would most definitely put Jamel Dean on AJ Brown.
It'd be interesting to see how they match up. Right now, Zion McCollum is your left corner, Jamel Dean is your right corner. And so wherever AJ Brown lines up, that's going to kind of be who. And you might see Zion follow him in the slot, and you might see Jacob Parrish kick outside. We've seen that a little bit too. But it's really going to be depending on where AJ Brown lines up. Right now, Jamel Dean's playing really good, and so is Zion McCollum. I feel comfortable with either one of those guys guarding AJ Brown right now.
Yeah, I feel a little bit more comfortable with Dean against him just because I feel like, and obviously this would be a penalty, but AJ Brown could just take Zion McCollum and break him over his knee if he wanted to, Bane did against Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. And
Zion
Dean has a little
struggled against more physical receivers. You're right, man. That's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, you feel good about both of them.
Yeah.
X Factor Gaming says, I'm thrilled the Bucs are 3-0 going to this weekend. Did you guys think before the season started that the Bucs would be 3-0?
Actually, I did. I went back and I looked at my SR's Fab 5 where I did my game-by-game predictions, and don't hate me because I have them losing this week to the Eagles in my original prediction, but I did have them. I wasn't sure because I waffle like you fans do, but when push came to shove and I had to do my predictions in my SR's Fab 5 column, I'll drop a link here in the chat for you guys. When did this come out? This came out right before the start of the season on August 29th is when I said that. I said 3-0 out of the gate, but a loss to the Eagles. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost the Eagles, Matt. Wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs won either.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs won. With how they've been playing, I don't read as much into the win-loss record of the opponents that they've already played.
Yeah.
Bucs are a good team. And I think Baker Mayfield said something today too that should stand down when he was like, I've just felt it this year that we're a different team, but we're a better team. And I think that's important. Shout out to Desmond Watson worshiper who says Jalen Hurts is undefeated since week 4 of last year when we beat them. I saw a stat too. It's like when Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Devontae Smith, and AJ Brown all play, they're undefeated. Eagles are a great team. That's why they won the Super Bowl. It's not going to be easy for the Bucs. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Desmond Watson, we asked Todd Bowles today if he would be up this week, and he said no, he is not. But you know what? Here's the thing. Even though Desmond Watson won't be up, he won't be elevated from the practice squad to be that guy to help with the tush push. The Buccaneers, they have some options at defensive tackle. They've got plenty of defensive tackles. They just signed C.J. Brewer as well to the active roster. So that certainly helps Todd Bowles, gives them another body, more of a kind of a penetrator, more of a Kalijah Cansey-esque type player, undersized, player. But they have some options, and we'll see if it's going to be Gotsis that comes up. Right now, we'll just put this graphic up. Logan Hall, it looks like there's a chance he plays. He suffered a groin injury. But the players on the active roster, defensive tackle, Vita Vea, Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, Elijah Roberts, Elijah Simmons, and C.J. Brewer. So they have 6 guys now on the active roster. And that gives them a little bit of a cushion if Logan Hall can't go. Then they have Adam Gotsis, who came up for week 1 as an elevation. They have big Jason Jones, 6'6", 335-pound guy. They have Nash Hutmacher, probably won't come up. He's a rookie. And then Desmond Watson, who Todd Bowles said just got to practice today, actually. So
he's their Jordan Davis look-alike.
Yeah, he was their Jordan Davis in practice and helped the Bucs with that look there. Folks, if you need help when it comes to your finances, well, there's one place that we're going to tell you to turn, and that's the folks over there at Immuni Financial.
Will your savings last through retirement? Most people plan for 10 years. A retirement can last 30. Healthcare, taxes, market swings, it all adds up. Take our quiz. Check your retirement readiness today. Immuni Financial.
Yeah, scan that barcode right there, and you'll have a 2-minute quiz to take. It's a fascinating study, and it will let you know how much money you're going to need with the price of inflation and your investments and the way the market's heading and real estate and all those things. But how much money are you going to need? And you know what? If you're, let's say you're in your 40s, so it's never too early to start thinking about retirement and making sure that you're on track. I'm 53. I'm certainly in the midst of it right now. I'm not going to retire anytime soon, but how much money will I need? This is a great tool to help you find out the answer to that question. You can also visit them on the web at immuni.com/retire, immuni.com/retire. Folks, I'm not retiring anytime soon, and that is the honest to God's truth. I don't know how long I'm going to work. I might work 50 years. I might cover this team for 50 years. It's been 50 years of Bucs coverage. And I got to say thank you to Brian Ford, to the Blazers, for the team for recognizing my 30 years. The good news is I have a new 30 jersey. It's going to replace my old 20 jersey that y'all complain about. But it was a great honor today. Brian Ford called me up to his office. I wasn't in trouble, which was cool. And he gave me this 30 jersey to commemorate my 30 years of covering this team. Just want to say thanks to Matt Matera, all the Pewter reporters, past and present, Trevor Sickham and Mark Cook, Jim Flynn, everybody that goes back with me way back in the day, to our current crew. It's been absolutely awesome. I could do a whole show thanking everybody. But it's fantastic. That's the jersey right there that I get a lot of crap for. But the reason why I have it is not the alarm clock numbers. First of all, my favorite player is Rondé Barber, so it's number 20. Second of all, it was given to me by the team, and that's a prized possession. And so I've got this jersey here now, and looking forward to putting this up. So next week you won't have to look at that ugly jersey anymore. How about that, Bucs fans?
Yeah, very cool by the Bucs. A very kind gesture. Awesome milestone. So congrats again to you, and great seeing the new uniform with that number. So well done by the Bucs. They're a class act organization through and
Absolutely.
through. So great people for sure.
A
couple more super chats to close out the show. We'll do these two together because it's the same topic. Bucs Basement, thanks for the $2 super chat. Says arriving one day early won't help the Eagles with the Heat.
Yeah.
And then Meets McGee with this $2 super chat. Thank you. Says the Bucs and the Heat in the heads of the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget. I want to say it was C.J. Gardner-Johnson last year. Maybe it was somebody else. I don't remember who it was. I'm not an Eagles reporter. There was an Eagles defensive back who was literally in a plastic kiddie pool, like the hard plastic that you have, like when you have like little toddlers in the backyard, laying down, stripped down to like pants and jockstrap, and shoes off, cleats off, everything. Was literally in water with ice bags. You had equipment guys putting ice in, with a paramedic giving this guy an IV. And that's how hot it was. It was the hottest game last year. And this past Sunday's game was hot. It's supposed to be just as hot, 120 degrees plus on the field temperature. And those Eagles will be down here either in their dark green or their black jerseys, and they're going to roast. And so you hope the offensive line has that long 10-minute drive again to wear them out and wear them down. But yeah, it was one of the hottest games on record. I've talked to a lot of Buccaneer fans that are season ticket holders for years, and they said that Eagles game was one of the hottest last year on record. So we'll see what happens again. But you're right, it's in their heads, and one day is not going to make them get used to this heat.
Many people have joked, and many reporters have joked, like, we're not even used to the heat. We've been living here for several years. So, Meets McGee with another $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, but we're afraid that Brown will bully McCollum. Will bully McCollum. I think, I don't know. The size-wise and physicality, I would probably lean towards Jamel Dean against A.J. Brown than McCollum. But if Todd Bowles trusts Zion McCollum, certainly not going to go against Todd Bowles.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Stubby Ryan, thanks for being a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 9 months. Says, fry, Eagles, fry. Yeah, we'll be hot.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is truly Baker Mayfield. Wishing me congratulations, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And as Jeff the champ, you're not the only one, Jeff. Everybody says, hey, by the time you get to New Jersey, I know. It's an eyesore. This will be the last time you see it. Well, maybe you'll see it for the Pewter Insider, but hopefully by Sunday, by Pewter Pregame, I'll have this framed up there right behind me. And you won't have to look at the old alarm clock numbers anymore because no one likes them.
Fair enough. Hey, it's been a fun show. We've broken down a lot, but we're not done talking about
That's
Bucs
right.
versus Eagles. We got another show tomorrow where we'll talk Bucs-Eagles, but of course we're going to chat about Chris Godwin and if he will play against the Eagles on Sunday. That'll be tomorrow's show, Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. And just a reminder again to everybody, we have our Pewter Pregame show the day of the game on Sunday, September 28th. That'll be myself and Scott. We go live at 9 a.m. And then Pewter Game Day. I'm back on the call at 1 o'clock when the game kicks off. Myself, Daniel Morales, giving play-by-play reactions, analysis, opinion, and keeping it fan interactive as well. That's at 1 o'clock. So a lot of stuff coming up on the docket this week.
I want to give a quick shout out. Scott Federico, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zach Brannigan, RP89, Connor Forios, Kevin Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Zach Jarvis, Mario Thomas, Eric McMillan, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucks, Brayon Pinkney, The Real Maverick, and welcome back. The guy is gifted. Thank you all so much for being Pewter Platinum members. Matt, we had a chance to meet a lot of our Pewter Platinum members, not just at the walk-ons, Pewter Report Platinum get-together, but also on the Bucs cruise. And I talked with Brian Ford today, and I got the latest information on that because everybody wants to know. They're still working on it. They hope to have something announced soon. And Brian said, Scott, I will let you be the first to know so you can let all of your fans know. Because every time I see Brian Ford, I'm asking about it for Nathan Elliott and Hezo and all you guys, Mario Thomas, Kevin Thomas, all you guys that we met on the cruise, and Rachel Gordon, met you on the cruise as well. You gave us those nice pen sets. We're asking every time we can. Brian Ford, what's the latest on the cruise? They're still working on it. They're trying to get it out of Tampa. That's kind of the issue right now is they're trying to have it leave from Tampa rather than South Florida, trying to find the right cruise line. They want to have the entire ship be nothing but Buccaneer fans, and we will let you know the particulars about that when the team is ready to announce them. So that's the latest. Some good news. They're still working on it.
Yeah, that's a good little teaser right there. And if you're not already doing so, everybody, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video how you think this game is going to go on Sunday. That'll do it for us this afternoon. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.